Hello, welcome to the Silverthorne Pulse. I'm Kim Jardam, and I'm here with Town Manager Ryan Highland, and we are here to recap the January 24th work session and Town Council meeting.
All right.
Welcome. So jumping into work session first, we had a guest presentation from the Summit County Community Care Clinic. That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
With Sarah Dayton, the grants manager.
Yeah, had a nice presentation, just kind of keeping our council and staff up to speed on what's going on at the Care Clinic. I guess you'd say we're a partner with the Care Clinic with nicotine funding. All of the municipalities in the county here receive nicotine funding, and we are all funding a number of nonprofits in the community that are really critical to keeping our community healthy and safe. And we've got the Care Clinic, we've got Building Hope, and FERC. And so great to hear from Sarah about what's going on at the Care Clinic, and just an opportunity to connect with council. We've always got a few new members who can learn more about what's going on with some of our partners. So that was a good conversation.
Great, excellent. So let's talk a little bit about the winter storm on Martin Luther King weekend.
Do we have to?
It was quite the event.
I guess we do.
We do.
Yeah, it was quite the event. I think it was something unlike we've ever seen before. When you have Winter Park and Steamboat and basically 3 counties all shut down and funneling into Silverthorne, it created a huge mess. So we had a good conversation with council last night about looking forward and what's coming up. We do have a debrief with all of the stakeholders in the county. That's coordinated by the emergency manager and the sheriff's office. And so in a couple of weeks, I think we've got 48 people on the list. So you've got the counties, the towns, CDOT, fire, police, state patrol, rec center, school district, hospitals, utilities, you name it. Everybody talking about that particular incident. And it was a multi-day event, if you will. And how we might approach that differently in the future. I think part of that conversation is, we really do a great job with all of our partners in the county when it comes to wildfires or other types of emergencies, and just making sure that we're looking at events like this through that same lens and through some of those same structures. That's what Silverthorne, I think, will be pushing for and what we'd like to see, because it really was an emergency situation. And gridlocked Silverthorne to the point that we couldn't get emergency services through the community, not just our police, but Summit Fire and EMS. People couldn't get to work. It was a huge mess. So we'll see what possible mitigation ideas come out of this debrief. We have talked and will continue to talk about potentially the idea of metering traffic coming into Silverthorne. I know that Nathan over in Dillon is, having some of those conversations as well, because we both can get gridlocked all around that interchange. And so I think the council, the community, everybody kind of hit the breaking point with this one. And it wasn't just a few hours, it was a lot of hours, a lot of days, and simply not going to be something that's acceptable moving forward. It's a huge challenge because you've got a lot of people that are trying to get home, but can't gridlock our town anymore. So stay tuned, we'll see. I'm sure it'll be interesting. Lots of conversations with our partners at CDOT if we get into that metering conversation. But public safety's got to come first in our community. So had a good conversation about that with the council. Lots of stories, people trying to drive on sidewalks, and it was just a bit much.
People trying to just pick up their children from daycare. I mean, I don't know if you even consider that public safety, but on some level,
I mean,
sure.
Every bit of it. And then there were some other components to this when we get that many people jammed into town and stationary. It gridlocks the transportation network, but then communications, cell phones start to get spotty. And so that's why pulling this larger stakeholder group together to talk about all of those things is going to be really important.
Excellent. Well, we look forward to hearing some of the ideas that come out of that meeting.
Yeah, I would imagine there'll be more than one meeting, and we'll report back.
Excellent. So we have an election coming up in April. There will be 2 ballot questions on the the ballot, and we also have some council member positions available as well. So tell us a little bit about the 2 ballot questions.
Yeah, we've got a 2% proposed addition to the lodging tax that will be on. And so that will be mostly aimed at the opportunity to expand our recreation center. That would at least be at the forefront of if that were to pass. That's where those funds would be used first. And then also a purpose-built police facility. As you know, that's at Town Hall, and it's not really up to snuff for a modern policing operation, and has outgrown the space in Town Hall. So that'll be on the ballot. And I think council has an opportunity probably closer to when those ballots go out. They'll do a resolution of support, just indicating to the community that they are in strong support of that. Obviously, as staff members, we're not, now that this has been established on the ballot, we're not able to do any politicking or, pro or con one way or the other. But the council certainly can. They can get out and share that information and their support to the community. So we've got those, and then you mentioned the council seats. So we have 4 seats up, and we have 5 candidates for 4
Correct.
seats.
Absolutely. So we have 4 incumbents trying to be reelected. They are current town council members: Amy Menka, Tanisha Spagnolia, Jonna Glassman, and Tim Applegate. And then we have 1 candidate that's a write-in, which means there'll be a blank on the ballot for that individual, and their name can be written in, and that individual is Molly Falcone.
Yep.
And so, sorry, just back to the ballot questions for a moment. Can we talk about the 5A housing as well?
Right. Yeah, the 5A housing is an opportunity. We've got opportunities to build housing and leveraging those 5A dollars. So essentially getting a loan against those future revenues is what we would do. We would basically take on some debt to do that. We don't have a particular need as of this exact moment. We have good cash flow, but housing projects are incredibly expensive, and so we certainly might need that ability. So we're asking the voters if they would approve that. I think part of the logic there, the more housing we can build sooner, it just gets more and more expensive, and the need is not going away. We just saw with the partnership project with the county and Breck, I think, close to 800 people trying to get a shot at some 50 or 60 units. So
52 units, yes.
That's why we want to leverage those dollars and build as much as we can, hopefully as quickly as we can.
Absolutely. So Cutthroat Anglers has a remodel going on, and you gave a little bit of an update about that.
Yeah, and the reason that council needed to be aware of that is they are a tenant of the town at the town center. They've got their retail space in the pavilion building, so if anybody's been in there was a big fish tank, and they're looking at removing that, and as we'll talk about in a minute, getting a liquor license to have some beer available. So at the end of a guided trip, you could grab a beer at Cutthroat.
Excellent. And our sustainability coordinator was present at the work session, Christy Diagati.
Yeah.
And there's a new strategic plan in place for sustainability in the town of Silverthorne, correct?
We've got Western Urban Sustainability has been hired, and so we're embarking on that process right now. And we'll be working with the council, working with the community, lots of stakeholders and staff as well, to come up with Silverthorne's first town-specific sustainability plan. So the town adopted the climate action plan that the county and all of the stakeholders worked on a number of years ago. So we've been working towards that, but this effort with our consultant will figure out how we get at those climate action goals in Silverthorne specifically. And so, yeah, kicking that off, and Christy was giving updates to council on some of the meetings that will be taking place and getting council engaged.
Great.
Yeah.
So moving into the regular council meeting for January 24th, we swore in a new officer, Asia Clark.
Yeah.
And so continue to build our police department, which is great. So welcome to Asia. And then we moved into the consent calendar, and there were a couple of items there related to the extension of Adams Avenue, which we've spoken about before. So that's connecting the Willowbrook neighborhood with the Smith Ranch neighborhood.
Right, we've got a couple of things going on there. We've got a bridge that will be going in, and then the expansion and construction of the park. And there are a couple of pieces of property kind of on the edge of the park and the roadway that we need to acquire. So we've been talking to the Willowbrook HOA and also the Smith family with the barn there. And so conversations on both sides of the road there, if you will, about how we might come to agreement on acquiring those properties. But we do know that we need to construct that this summer. And so as a backup, if those conversations do not come to fruition, we do have the ability to use eminent domain to acquire those properties. And what that means is there's a market value that's determined through appraisals, and that's what the town pays to buy those pieces of property. So we may not end up there. The conversations are ongoing, but there's a timeline, and so we needed to basically create those resolutions to make sure that we have the ability to do those projects this spring and summer. So again, Willowbrook and the Smith Brothers.
Yes.
And that's the big barn property there.
Right.
Yeah.
That was illustrated to me in this Martin Luther King weekend
Sure.
traffic jam. How if we had neighborhood connections,
they're critical, and so
right.
It is an alternate way for the community to try and navigate a bit. And with this piece, this is kind of the last missing link. You could go all the way from Summit Sky, all the way into the core of town, off of the highway, were it not for this one gap. So it's important.
Yes, and exciting.
Yeah.
Yes. So there was also another resolution approving a lease between the town and Cafe Food Rescue for the Pizza Hut building, which we've also spoken about before, that they'll be using to work out of to provide food services to our community.
Just approval of a lease. We did get that approved in a format that myself and the town attorney can make some final tweaks, but got the approval from council on basically the main deal points. So looking forward to getting that completed and getting them into the building. Excellent.
And as we also mentioned earlier on the liquor board, there was a new liquor license for Cutthroat. So as we mentioned, they'll be able to serve alcohol in their facility and their place of business. So that's a new dimension to their business for them.
Kind of similar in the same shopping center there, Go Range Sports, same thing. You can get your skis tuned or you can get your bike tuned up, and they've got some beer offerings there. So
great. Excellent. And under public hearings, it was an ordinance submitting 2 ballot questions to the registered electors of the town of Silverthorne, which we also just addressed as well, but that's just another step, right?
This was the second reading, so the final formal required act of council to put those 2 items on the ballot. I know nobody's thinking about April, but the way the calendars work in the election world, we start pretty early, so that's established, and I think it's probably the first part of March that people start seeing ballots show up in the mail.
Wow, it's coming quickly.
Yeah.
So that was it for Wednesday, January 24th. We've got a First Friday coming up here. It's the Wish Lanterns on the Blue River, which is a popular one.
It's a visually stunning event. So
yes, so hopefully some people come out for that.
Some music in the pavilion as well. So
excellent.
It's a good one.
We will see you next time. Thanks for joining us.